The Quinjet is one of the most beloved vehicles in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. In fact, it might be the #1 most iconic vehicle from the MCU. I think it's a 3-horse race between the Quinjet, the Helicarrier, and the Milano. Sound off in the comments with which one you think deserves the crown. Needless to say, the Quinjet is now synonymous with the Marvel brand, the MCU, and the Avengers on the whole. And with good reason, it's a darn cool looking vehicle. And LEGO has made quite a few renditions throughout the years, starting off in 2012 and the most recent version from Age of Ultron getting a remake here in 2025. To celebrate that set and the now 10-year anniversary of Avengers Age of Ultron, the film, I cannot believe that movie is a decade old, it's time to rank all of these Quinjets. So without further ado, here are my rankings for every LEGO Marvel Superheroes Quinjet from worst to best. Now, in today's video, I'll only be focusing on the minifigure scale Quinjet. If it's designed to house a minifigure inside the cockpit or the rest of the vehicle, it counts for the list. So that means the various mini models and micro scale renditions they've done throughout the years do not count for this ranking, and it leaves us with 9 total designs. So now let's dive into the countdown. Number 9, 76314, Captain America Civil War Battle. I've already ragged on this set a few times on this channel. It was featured in my top 10 worst MCU sets of all time video. I'm hating on it again once today, and don't be surprised if at the end of 2025 this makes the top 10 worst sets of the year. I was so let down by this set. It just sucks, man. It's a horrible design, but we're only talking about the Quinjet build here today. I'm not talking about the horrible minifigures. I'm not talking about the half-assed airport facade, just the Quinjet, which unfortunately is another reason why I hate this set. It's a very small, downscaled Quinjet. It has some okay detail for its scale, but the scale is way too small, and I just don't think it looks that good. This Quinjet reminds me a lot of the TIE Advanced build that came with Darth Vader's castle and the 2 UCS Death Stars. It's just kind of dinky, and overall not really my thing. Number 8, 76269, Avengers Tower. It's so weird having the Avengers Tower this low on a list, because this is one of the greatest LEGO Marvel superhero sets ever made. Probably the greatest LEGO Marvel superhero set of all time. This set is brilliant, but if there's one thing I just don't particularly love, it's the small Quinjet build. Because it interacts with the tower, I gave it a slight leg up on the version that came with the Civil War battle set, but that's the only thing I really like about this one. Pretty much everything I just mentioned with the Civil War set applies to this set as well. It's a very small, downscaled Quinjet, and it's just the same concept as those TIE Advanced. I get why LEGO makes them small, so it can interact with the larger design. It's just not really my cup of tea. And that's fine, I'm biased against these small Quinjets, and that's why I put both of them in the last spots for today's list. Now, luckily, everything else from this point on has some decent scale to it. Number 7, 76127, Captain Marvel and the Skrull Attack. When I was first putting together this list, I honestly did not even think of this set. I had the other 8 Quinjet builds listed, and I was like, am I missing anything? So I did some research, and I figured out that LEGO actually refers to this build as a Quinjet based on the Captain Marvel movie. I likely forgot about it because I just forgot about this set and the film as a whole. Captain Marvel is one of my least favorite movies in the entire MCU. I'm not a big fan of the film or the character, and because of that kind of rubbed off on the Quinjet as well, even though I do own this set. And for 30 bucks in 2019, this set was actually a really darn good value. The box art also looked fantastic, and there were some cool-ish minifigures included, although I think the Skrull could have been a much better figure. It just kind of feels out of place in today's video. The rest of the Quinjets all have sort of a template-esque design you'll see, but this one, I don't know, something about it just feels slightly off. It's also very small when compared to the actual film. I don't hate this Quinjet design in the movie itself. It could have been a better set if it were like $80 to $100 like most LEGO Quinjet sets, but at 30 bucks, it was just a bit small and not one of my favorites. Number 6, 76051, Superhero Airport Battle. You know, they say size doesn't matter. However, the 4 smallest Quinjet builds are my 4 least favorite. So I guess in the case of a LEGO Quinjet, size does matter. And this airport battle build is my favorite of the small Quinjet, but that's not saying a whole lot. I do enjoy the consistency of the color scheme here. A lot of dark blue looks very cool, and it does have more size than the other smaller Quinjet builds, which is why it gets a slight leg up on those designs. The play functions with this one were also halfway decent, which was pretty cool, but once again, not really my thing. And luckily, the top 5 here today, I like quite a bit more. Kicking off the top 5, we have number 5, 76126, Avengers Ultimate Quinjet. This is a difficult set to gauge because it's not really canonical to anything that actually appears in the MCU, and let me tell you why. This set was released in 2019 as part of the Avengers Endgame wave. And if you know anything about the marketing for Endgame, Marvel was so secretive about this movie. The trailers hardly featured any new footage. They did not want any of the major spoilers leaking, and thank you, Marvel, for doing so because the theater experience was unreal. However, because nothing was revealed from this movie, the toys were hurt significantly. The LEGO sets are pretty inaccurate across the board, and they kind of just had to make up some generic stuff. There are Quinjets in this movie, but none of them resemble this design whatsoever. However, this design looks pretty dope if you ask me. Once again, the dark blue color scheme is great, but I love the accents of the transparent orange. I think that has some fantastic contrasting colors. It's a really cool looking build. It's also very sleek and has some nice size, which results in, I think, one of the better looking Quinjets. However, because it's not really canonical to anything in the MCU, I can't in good faith put it ahead of any of the other sets in today's video, but don't take that the wrong way. I still think this is a very cool design. Number 4, 76032, the Avengers Quinjet City Chase. This is the original Age of Ultron Quinjet set from 2015, and right out the gate, I want to talk about a very cool feature this set has. Basically, you push a button and it releases Black Widow on her motorcycle from the belly of this Quinjet. That was such a fun function. On the flip side, that function completely compromised the interior of this build, which was not great, but as a toy, this functioned really well. And I think the build looked pretty solid for 2015, especially considering the fact it came out before the movie was even released. The shaping was very nice. The city chase elements were cool. The little car off to the side was on a half bad build. And also the minifigures of this set, highlighted by the original Vision figure, were really dope. When you compare it to the source material, it definitely has its inaccuracies, but this set holds a special place in my heart. It's very nostalgic to me, and it has a lot of really cool stuff, which got to add number 4. Number 3, 76248, the Avengers Quinjet. LEGO Marvel has started an unofficial side sub-theme of sorts that basically features their iconic flying vehicles on display stands. Obviously, they've made the 3 separate Guardians of the Galaxy ships, and now 2 different Quinjets in this style as well, starting off in 2023 with the original Quinjet from the first Avengers movie. And this design is solid. I think it looks very good on display. However, it was a little bit too simplistic for my liking. The interior was really bad, and there were just some awkward gaps here and there with the build that felt like a slightly unfinished design. I think upon first glance, this set could have a shot at number 1, but because of these issues, I put it down here at number 3, but it still looks really good, and if you have your own spare parts and can modify the build, you could make this thing perfect. As is though, it's still a very cool looking Quinjet design, and I'm very glad LEGO decided to remake this in a more accurate color scheme with more accurate shaping to boot. And even though it is more accurate, my next selection might be kind of controversial. That's number 2, 6869, Quinjet Aerial Battle. This Quinjet is also based on the original Avengers film, and this one came out before the Avengers movie even debuted in 2012. And you're probably wondering, why is it ahead of the 2023 set? And look, if accuracy is the only thing you care about, I completely understand why you'd probably put the 2023 set above this one. However, there are a few factors that played into my admittedly pretty biased selection here. Number 1 is nostalgia. I loved getting this set back in 2012. It was the flagship set of the original LEGO Marvel Superheroes wave, which is just such a cool thing. ring. Number 2, I think the build does look very cool. It actually holds up nicely for 2012, and some of the design techniques I think were ahead of its time. Additionally, the interior of this set is way better than the remake in 2023, and it had the side build for Loki, which was nice as well. And ultimately, I think it was a more complete set on the whole that was a better value at only $75 as opposed to $100. And because of all those reasons, a lot of them are subjective, admittedly, I think this is a better set than the 2023 remake, but it is neck and neck. But neither of those sets are number 1. My number 1 selection is set number 76325, Avengers Age of Ultron Quinjet. I'm sure some people will claim recency bias because at the time of recording this video, this set is not even a month old, but my goodness, this build is just spectacular. It is absolutely fabulous. I think this design is pretty much pitch perfect. It comes on the black stand once again. I love the stand of this set too, which has an interesting gear mechanism to pose it, which is really cool and very stable. But the build itself is so smooth. The shaping is absolutely wonderful. The techniques are incredible. The interior is sizable and pretty accurate. Yeah, it doesn't have any great play functions, but this is definitely more of an adult collector's set than a kid's toy. And overall, per my sensibilities, this set is just the best of both worlds for a LEGO Quinjet. Everything I love about the other sets in today's video, this one combines into one fantastic package. And that new Ultron figure is pretty dope as well, alongside Quicksilver too. So yeah, I love this set. And $130 in 2025 actually wasn't a bad value in a year that was otherwise completely riddled with horrible prices for licensed themes. Combining all of those components is why I think set number 76325, Avengers Age of Ultron Quinjet, is the best LEGO Quinjet set of all time. But those are just my thoughts. Please comment down below with your personal favorite LEGO Quinjet. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace out. God bless. Bye-bye.